Here is a comparison between the 2024 BMW X1 xDrive28i in mineral white metallic with the new M35i in sapphire black metallic. Which one is going to be better for you? Because there is a steep increase in price. However, you're getting adaptive M suspension, 71 horsepower more than the standard, both with the standard all-wheel drive. I'm Anthony from Hawkeye Rides, and right off the bat, you're going to tell more of an aggressive approach for the M35i with the M Sport bumpers. Both get the adaptive LED headlights and daytime runnings. The lower is going to get the gloss black elements. Both will receive the satin aluminum around the active grille shutter. And both variants will receive the same engine, which is a 2.0 liter BMW twin power turbo inline 4-cylinder, producing 241 horsepower, whereas on the M35i, you're getting 312 horsepower. Both will back 295 pound-feet of torque, paired with a 7-speed dual-clutch automatic transmission. A second quicker on the 0 to 60, but it will still be slower than the JCW, achieving 23 mpgs for the city and 31 mpgs for the highway. That's going to be 2 and 3 mpgs less than the standard xDrive28i. 19-inch wheels. This is going to be an upgrade on the xDrive28i. Blue brake calipers housing 4 pistons because this is the M Sport brakes, and you can option a carbon ceramic brake, gloss black elements around the lower skirt with the M Sport side view mirror, roof rails with the gloss black, whereas on the xDrive28i, we have the X line, which gives the satin aluminum for the front, the side skirt, side view mirrors, roof rails, and all of the window trim. Both will receive the same weight distribution at 57.9, 42.1, and the payload maxes at 1,111 pounds. The rear is going to get the aggressive exit for the M35i, quad exhaust tips, the diffuser, both with the standard LED taillights and the lower roof spoiler. Opposed to the xDrive28i, the rear will set up a little higher with the satin aluminum that's going to go where the exhaust tips would be, front and rear parking sensors, but we have a 360-degree reverse camera, which is an option for the M35i. Both will have a power liftgate that goes inside to 25.7 cubic feet. You'll have a storage nook on the side, and on the other side, you'll receive the 12-volt charger with another storage nook. Underneath the floor receives the storage. Privacy cover is easy to remove. Removing the privacy cover will expose the bag holders on both sides. You will have to go to the back door in order to open up the 46.9 max cubic feet that you get. Pulling the lever, folds down flat. We need to go inside, start up the M35 so you can hear the difference between the xDrive28. Eight-way power seat adjustment for the driver and passenger, memory for the driver, manual cushion extensions, heated front seats with a heated steering wheel. 10-way power seat adjustment with manual cushion extensions. The convenience package adds the pano moonroof and the wireless charger. Headroom, it's going to be the same for both. And legroom. Because of the refresh last year, it did increase because of the length as well. Since the tech dashboard is part of the X-Line package, with the contrast stitching, the one glass curved panel that integrates a 10.7 touchscreen with Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, Sirius XM, AM, FM, streaming Bluetooth audio, iDrive 9. Put it into reverse, And we have a reverse camera with trajectory for the front and the rear. Whereas on the M35i, we have the convenience package that gives us the 360-degree reverse camera with 3D. Both of them are the iDrive9. You can click all around the vehicle here. And it also adds a heads-up display, auto-dimming rear view mirror, and the pano moon roof. Working into the ambient lighting that's going to surround the wireless charging pad and the key fob for the M35i, opposed to the xDrive28i. The center will have the touch for your My Modes, the rocker, USB ports, a long storage tray underneath, push here, and you can put a slim long phone inside. It's going to be more sport drive. The steering wheel will have the 12 o'clock. It's leather wrap, heated, multi-function with the paddle shifts. Whereas on the 28i, here it's going to be a leather wrap steering wheel, multi-function. No paddle shifts, and the gauge cluster is going to be the same. It's a 10.25 that can go through an array of different content for the driver. And you can change the layout. Dashboard and the door configuring together with the wood and the ambient lighting, except we're getting the plastic, whereas on the 35, we're getting the aluminum for the Harman Kardon. It's going to be more sport drive with the same size storage pocket. Headroom, it's going to be the same for both of the X1. Legroom, you get a storage net behind the driver and passenger seat, USB ports, air vents, cup holders with an armrest, and the seats recline, which I have it reclined in the furthest position back. Get the mesh inlays for the Harman Kardon, whereas on the xDrive28i, you receive the plastic. It's going to be more sporty. You still get the ambient lighting, same size storage pocket more or less as the front. Sliding into the center, you get a little tray that you can put a smartphone. Feet space is going to be shared, as well as butt, leg, and shoulder space, but it is to be expected because this is an X1. But as for headroom, it's actually really good for somebody that's over 6 foot tall. 241 horsepower, 295 pound-feet of torque, which is the same torque as the M35i, and we're both receiving a dual clutch automatic transmission. No paddle shifts, and it's 6.2 seconds 0 to 60. Let's see how well she does. Dynamics is not going to be too bad, but it's a little bit further away than the 50/50 that is usually for a BMW. Do feel a significant amount of body roll whenever you're taking some of the bends. It's also longer by nearly 2 inches from the prior gen. But you can see I have to continuously use the brake to actually do some maneuvers. Now we're going to get that 0 to 60, so here we go. It's still a playful vehicle. When you put it into sport, it will have an exhaust note that filters in. Visibility is good. Just not a huge fan of the body roll. You just lose a lot of confidence in the drive. And when you're thinking BMW, usually it's the opposite. You're thinking, I can do some sporty, twisty roads. I would say it's about the same as the segment that it is fit to be in for Mercedes and Audi. Braking isn't bad because the curb weight also isn't too bad. But let's check out the M35i. Over 70 horsepower more than the standard. I have engaged boost, which is a 10-second, and it will just basically make this twin scroll turbo ready to go, and let's see how it is. You get the spits that come in, but you're gonna have to slow down. Feels playful. It's still kind of not all over the place. The suspension helps a lot more so with this. I'm able to go a lot faster than the standard. And you feel a little bit more confident with the bends. Now we're going to check out that boost yet again. Countdown begins, 6 seconds. Takes a little bit of time, but when it's ready, it's ready. like the exhaust note that filters in this a little bit more so than the standard. The brakes are also a lot better because you're getting a 4-piston. And you can see, even dynamically speaking, it's a lot better, even though the weight distribution is the same. Speed's a lot quicker, you're getting a lot more of that fun factor in the wowness, and yes, it's about 10 grand more. Now, when you're considering it's over 70 horsepower more, you can see why you get those quicker speeds, but the curb weight is the same as this, which is it's over 180 pounds more than the JCW for the Mini Cooper, in which it gets a 0 to 60 a little bit quicker. That's going to take me to some pros and cons, starting off with the pros. When you get the standard X1, standard all-wheel drive, you're getting a lot more interior space. I drive 9, which is very easy to operate. I like the Curve 1 panel, and it's not over the top getting a 14.9 inch. We get a 10.7, so it makes it look more sporty, and it's not coming out of the same parts bin as every BMW. I like the driver focus setup because the way it just kind of makes it sporty for the passenger and yet gives a larger cockpit for the driver. You can option with a spare tire. The cons is you do have to option features in order to get it spec like this. It doesn't come standard with these 19-inch wheels that you would get on the M35i, in which it does take it up a notch. It gives it a little bit more styling. That X line, you got to pay extra for that to get the satin aluminum, so it doesn't look like a standard vehicle. And this is just the everyday drive now. It does have a touch of lag at the beginning, but once you get the turbocharged spooled up, it is ready to take off, and that's pretty much with every variant because it's a smaller engine and it does back a lot of horsepower and torque out of it. The big problem that I have with the xDrive28i has to start off with, we don't receive paddle shifts even on a base trim, which this is a dual clutch automatic transmission. Why would we not have that? And then for the back, the middle seat headrest blocks half of the real estate for the window, so it gives a lot more blind spots, even though you got blind spot monitoring. Plus, you got to option a lot of features. You don't get standard heated seats. You don't get a standard Sensatech dashboard. You're going to pay extra, in which it does cost at least 2 grand more nearly for each option, except for the wheels. You're going to pay around $600-700, which I'm fine with that because this is a standard xDrive28i. Comparing it against rivals, I feel like the Tiptronic and Audi changes gears a little bit better. The suspension's going to be kind of stiff, but it's still somewhat comfortable. It's not going to be near an adaptive M suspension. The seats are going to be a little bit more sporty, even though this is not the M Sport variant. It's pretty quiet in the cabin, so they sealed it up relatively well. And for maneuverability, the steering is light, so that ticks the box for that everyday drive. You will be getting a good dose of performance when you go to the xDrive28i. The setup for the M35i is going to brake more. You're going to be able to get a little bit more speed out of the corners. That's because of the M suspension layout. And you have a lot more power with the boost, which can engage the twin scroll turbocharged to make it ready at any point. I like the paddle shifts. They're nice and big. It's just a lot more sporty. And when you're thinking $9,000-10,000 difference in price, is it worth it? The upgrades that you get with this is worth it. I just kind of wish they would have maybe gave us a full M, so that way it wouldn't be as comparable to a JCW, because that vehicle is going to be faster, in which you could possibly save some dough going onto the Mini Cooper side. It doesn't feel as bumpy as a true M, so even though you have the adaptive M suspension, it's still a smooth ride. And a lot of that's also derived because both vehicles have 19-inch wheels already set up. It's the same wheels on both variants. You will not hear the engine note filter in that much even when you go to the M35i, only when you're giving it a go. And sadly, I kind of want to hear that because I'm getting a huge increase in horsepower and you feel it off the line. Now, as for the lag that you have for the X1, does it come into this? Well, not as much. It seems to change gears a little bit more so, and a lot of that pattern will also change by your driving habits because it will memorize the way you drive. But the extra power is welcome in this trim because it just gives it that wow factor, especially whenever you're pushing the gas, because typically people don't expect that much horsepower out of an X1 because, let's face it, this is the base trim, the smallest SUV that they make. Going against rivals, the M35i I feel is more of the spec that people will enjoy for a longer journey. If you're doing the standard X1 xDrive28i, it's good for that everyday drive, but this unlocks the potential of what that engine is capable of. Kind of wish that they had an M variant, but let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're new to the channel, consider subscribing. Check out the next video, merchandise, website, and Instagram. Leave a comment and a like. And I'd like to thank BMW of Wesley Chapel for giving us this comparison review of these two 2024 BMW X1, the xDrive28i versus the M35i for our car review.